Yo, what is happening, everyone? The very first stream of the year, making sure audio levels are good. It's been a while since we've dusted off the microphone, had to pull it out of storage, had to get everything set up. As you know, Team Picker is now live. It's still very, very early, but it's SuperCoach. It's fantastic. It's here. The test is wrapped up. Australia versus South Africa has finished at such a perfect time for us. Look, Moz, you're right. SuperCoach BBL, it feels a void, but it's not quite the real thing. Today we're going to take a look at, your questions, and we're going to look at my team, my sort of initial team, and see how we're going with everything. Make sure you drop your questions, below. Limited information, so to speak. We don't have a whole lot to go off. There have been some reports. We will be looking at, some potential whispers as to what's happening thereabouts, what's happening with this channel, what's happening with the podcast moving forward. For you guys that don't know, Brew has decided to step away for the season. You guys know that he was sort of battling with some own sort of personal stuff that he was going on last year, and he sort of felt that he couldn't commit 100% to the podcast. So, look, he made that decision to step away, and I wish, nothing but the best for Brew, and we really love him here, but we do have a very, very, very big co-host coming up, and what's going to be happening on this channel, we will touch on that. The first official podcast will be launching on January the 3rd, so make sure you've got your notifications on there, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Apple, subscribe to Spotify, wherever you listen. January 3rd will be the official podcast. We won't be doing any live streams, so to speak, in the preseason. They'll all just be pre-recorded, and then I think it is the 28th of February will be the first TLT podcast of the season, doing a preview for the week, and then every Tuesday moving forward. Oh, it's been a while. A little bit dusty, a little bit nervous, but we will get into it. Not too sure what you guys want to do, whether you want to look at my team first and get an idea as to where my head's at, or we jump straight into some Q&As. We got a little bit. It's been such a packed off season. The Rugby League World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, BBL's just started. It's been an absolute jam-packed off season. We feel like we haven't had a break, but fantastic. Absolutely buzzing to be back. Look, these won't be weekly or whatever. These will just be when I can be bothered. Got a little bit of time off now, so we will do them when we can. Content has been starting to pump out recently. Let me know how you like the new sort of setup. Tinkered with this afternoon, just to sort of see how we're going. But yeah, look, I haven't got any questions, so to speak. Like, if you guys, if you haven't made your teams yet, then, like, if you don't have SuperCoach Gold, it should be open around Australia Day. And then I think the magic number is, 9,800 times every player from last year, their average by like 9,800. And you get their rough player guides this year. But like the initial thoughts this year, a couple of spots are absolutely dead. I feel like 5'8". I think Moz has just alluded to it in the chat. 5'8" is dead. There is nothing. You can go really cheap. You can go someone like a Schuster and pump the 2RF. Like, there's a few avenues, but 5'8" is just really, really slim. There's only 4 or 5 guys I'm really looking at and liking, so to speak. But, we'll really jump into that today. I'm not too sure how long today's going to go for. But, yeah, it's going to be super chill. Going to chill back and just talk a lot of smack. I've missed it. I've missed just having a place to vent. If you guys want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level this year, a little project, that I've worked on is just doing an exclusive Discord server. It's going to cost you $20 for the year. No ongoing fees. Chuck me $20 through PayPal, or I can send you my bank details, whatever. But basically, you're going to have access to me one-on-one. 24/7. I'll answer questions and stuff. We've got a really, really, really good customized team planner. A lot of the details are in the description of this video, but some world-class spreadsheets. There are some guys in there that are doing some absolutely phenomenal work with a lot of buy planning, a lot of turnaround times. There's just everything you can think of as a SuperCoach is available in there. I'll rate your trades for the year. Basically, you're going to have a lot of access to me as our audience grows more and more. I'm finding it harder to reply to a lot of messages. So, have that exclusive server in there. At the moment, there's only 50 guys in there. So it's a very, very small community. And, jump into Discord server and answer some questions. But if you have any issues, any questions, my email's in the description and all the details are there. Oh, okay. So you guys want to see my team to start with? I guess we can do that. Let's look at my team first, and then I guess gives you guys an idea of as to sort of where I'm at. If you guys have any questions about sort of plays I've got, feel free to ask them. But my initial thought straight away, you haven't seen him in the team yet, but Tedesco is there. Tedesco is not moving. And I just don't think he will. I don't see a world where Tedesco comes out at my side. We're going to have Ryan Papenhuyzen, absorbently expensive for a bloke coming off a pretty weird, kneecap injury. I'm not too sure if I'm confident to pay that. I wasn't confident to pay 1.2 million for Turbo last year because of the uncertainties. I'm not too sure I'm confident in paying the money for Papenhuyzen either. Like, when it comes to 5'8", I've got the sort of players here on the side. You move to Latrell, he's the next expensive. Latrell did it last year, he did it. It didn't matter who they played. Souths, really, really excelled. I don't know. It's a draw thing at the moment for me. I don't have Latrell in my team right now, so to speak. Fullback's a tough one. Teddy just finds himself there. Then you got Scott Drinkwater, Ruben Garrick, Clint Gutherson. None of those guys really, really intrigue me. You move into the cheaper pile, Kalen Ponga, Tom Trbojevic coming off that hamstring injury, obviously, that we know about. KP, all reports is he's going to play 6. I'm not too sure if I'm a big fan of that. 2019, he started the year at 5'8" and wasn't fantastic. I opted to go away from that. And, you'll see at the moment, there's a lot of centre wing value, absolutely. And you'll see that when we get to my centre wings, there is value galore. Brandon Smith is an absolute must-have. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Hopgood from the Eels. He is looking, very, very good. He's looking like one of the real preseason, cheapies. Probably going to start at 13 for Parramatta as well, so that's definitely one to look out for. Papenhuyzen's injury we've already touched on. Can Kieran Foran unlock Fafita? We've been crying out for a ball-playing forward not a ball-playing forward, like a really good solid half for Fafita to sort of unlock him. Can he do that next year? That'll be the big thing. Double gun at halfback. Are people running Moses and Cleary, or Cleary and Hines, or Hines and Moses, or whoever? Is double gun halfback the way to go? I'm a big believer this year of no nuffs as well. You don't need them. You don't need to have nuffs to loop. Looping is going to become much, much easier. We're not going to have to worry about having nuffs in there because each team's going to have the bye. So it's going to be a lot easier to vice captain loop this year. And the question to run double gun hooker or not, that's the sort of the real big thing. Couple of questions from you guys basically off my team. No Harmsella. I'm a big fan of Harmsella. I think he could really jag 40 minutes. 45 minutes. He's competing with Tom Burgess. George. He's competing with the South Sydney Burgess, whatever. Liam Knight's also there. You got Saliba Havili. But the departure of Mark Nichols is going to open up some spots. But yeah, look, straight away. Look, we've got Harry Grant up top, Brandon Smith. I want to know your guys' thoughts in the chat. Do you think that Brandon Smith is a must-have? 417k. Sam Verrills has moved on from the Roosters. Really only got Connor Watson there to compete with minutes. I don't expect Brandon Smith to play 80, but God, he's looking good for 60, 65 minutes. And, 420k is just presents a lot of value. He did lose that 2RF duel, which, not ideal, but I still think it's, too hard to pass up. Harry Grant, is he going to be the guy? Like, do you just pay the money? 713k is a lot of cash, but, he's such an outlier in that hooker position compared to, other players in that position. You can go down to like a Josh Hodgson. I don't mind that. Coming off an ACL, not fantastic, but, I don't think it's going to affect the hooker too much. Hooker-wise, like if I pull up, a few more, players in that hooker mold, Harry Grant was the top. Then you got Damien Cook last year who averaged 75. Reece Robson had a fantastic year, an average of 65. You got Api Coruscant, an unknown Tigers outfit. Blake Brayley, Jeremy Marshall-King doesn't overly excite me too much. I think Jeremy Marshall-King was looking really good last year until he exploded. His average sort of ballooned and it became too much for what I wanted to pay this year. Reid Marnie just looked a shell of himself last year. And you got Sam Verrills at hooker for the Titans. That could be interesting. Averaged 52 last year. Is there much value presenting there? And then we're not really finding much value until you go down to someone like a Tom Starling. Averaged 42 last year. If you can, we say it every year. If Tom Starling can get the minutes, he could potentially double that output. He could be pushing an 80 average. He's very good, but just doesn't have a lot of faith in Ricky. But the more you scroll down this hooker list, the more you find a lot of people are gravitating towards Josh Hodgson. Priced at $336K. I do think there's value there, definitely. I'm just not too sure if I'm willing to pay that. If I'm not willing to go against Harry Grant. I just think he's so far and away the better player. Damien Cook, he's not getting any younger. Grant's just hitting his straps. So that's why I've opted, I guess, for those two at the moment. Front row forward for me is a really, really weird one, as it is every year. I don't really see a world where Daniel Saifidi leaves my front row forward all preseason. $420K, coming off a really poor year last year, had dealt with a lot of niggly injuries. He is a 60-plus average forward when he's fit. And, I do think he's going to lead this pack now with David Klemmer out of the building. I don't really see him leaving. Lindsay Collins here is a toss-up. I feel like Lindsay Collins could just be Jai Arrow from last year. Punches 58 to 62 every week. Nothing fantastic, but less than 400K. It's hard to pass up right now. He had that really bad injury in 2021. Had all of last year to sort of recover, and in that second year after a pretty bad injury, I expect him to come back. Jack Hetherington, 230K. Look, Jack Hetherington's no Supercoach star. Never has been, never will be. But 230K for a bloke that's most likely going to start on the edge. Lock that in. It was disappointing when he started on the edge for the Bulldogs last year, but 230K dual 2RF, it's hard to pass up. And Davey Moali, the same reasons that I gave for Harm Saleh. I think there's minutes there to be taken. Davey Moali is only getting older, he's getting more mature and progressing with time. And I think he's going to take up that sort of mantelpiece when it comes to, taking 30, 35 minutes, hopefully, in this south side, which, presents value at 205K. A lot of people are asking about Welch in the chat here. I don't like taking a hit, on forwards with big injuries. What's Christian Welch coming in at? I expect him to coming in low fours. Let me scroll and find him. Christian Welch is 405K. Oh, all right, let's pull up the old Supercoach Stats website. You guys probably won't be able to see this, so I apologize because I haven't set up the stream to be like this. Can I do it? No. Okay, I apologize, but you might be able to see some stats if I do it. Next stream, I'll definitely have a slide for Supercoach Stats up so we can just talk about them when they come in. But Christian Welch, in his pomp, averaged 59, and that was in his best. As you can see, though, wasn't great. I mean, one game last year, so it's hard to really judge on that. But even in previous years, hasn't been fantastic. His durability always been an issue. I don't know if you guys, you won't be able to see that, but has only played. If I switch to the other slide, no, okay, you can't see it. Christian Welch has never played more than 20 games in the last 4 years. So, durability is an issue. He probably does play Origin as well. Probably comes back and plays Origin for Queensland. So it takes up, a draw there. I just don't love it. I don't particularly love it so much when it comes to, the value that he presents. But I can see why people are keen. It's just for me right now, he's not someone I'm particularly loving. Moving into the 2RFs, David Fafita, as we've said, 605K could make an absolute mockery of that price tag if he clicks with Kieran Foran and if he stays at the Titans. If he does go to the Raiders as reported, not too sure I'm a big fan. We'll look elsewhere, probably go to a Crichton, probably go to a Madison, save some money there. I do like to have one premium forward. How much, Adam Elliott, he was simply incredible. I think there's a stretch over Origin. Obviously, fans of this channel know I'm a huge Adam Elliott fan. I just want to show you some numbers of him post-Origin and before he got injured. He picked up a little niggle, played through it because they sort of had to. They were making a top 8 push. But look at this. Like this gets me really, really keen. 99, 92, 80, 77. Even when he had the injury, like he was still putting up okay numbers. I'm happy to disregard all of this because that's when he did pick up the niggle. But the bloke was averaging something like 71 points a game in games he played over 60 minutes. So he clearly, has the upside. And, the departing Mitch Barnett sees a big 13 jersey open up for him. As we said, David Clemmer has also left, so there's a few more middle minutes to go around. Elliott looked really good last year and, under 500k. I'm happy to play him, again. I think he's looking really good. And that brings us to Luke Garner, ex-Tigers player, now probably takes over, the likely, recipient of the vacant Viliami kick-out jersey as well. So you'd expect, Luke Garner to thrive on that. Luke Garner, when he was playing on the edge, I think 2021 for the Tigers, was really good. I think he averaged around 60. And if we can get that, fantastic. He has a lot of attacking upside. I would say, I was shit-canning Liam Martin pretty hard last year in the preseason. I wasn't a huge fan. I just think, Penrith really like to attack down that left-hand side, and, Garner's going to present a bit of value at 380. No-brainer there. Hopgood, as we've already touched on, looking like one of the best preseason cheapies, probably going to play 13 for Parramatta. Nathan Brown's departed. Isaiah Papali'i has also departed. That would see Maddo probably push back into the edge. And there's probably going to be some minutes up for grabs there. Mooney from the Raiders now, tipped to be taking over that 13 role, that vacant 13 jersey that Adam Elliott does leave behind. Looks like Ricky Stewart really loves Corey Hadawira-Naera really likes his impact off the bench. Elliot Whitehead looks to be a staple in that sort of back row with Hudson Young. All signs point towards Trey Mooney, at worst getting a good bench spot, but at the best starting 13. Sean Bloor, with the Tigers not signing John Bateman just yet, Kelma Tuilagi has left the building. That's going to see Justin Matamua and Sean Bloor and Alex Seyfarth all probably battle out for that, vacant edge slot with Isaiah Papali'i. So, Sean Bloor or Justin Matamua could be someone that we really, target. David wants to know thoughts on Lukey. Unfortunately, he's not on track for round 1, looking like a 4 to 6 week recovery for him from the ACL. And players off ACLs, I don't really like touching him. NRL Physio had a fantastic stat preseason last year that basically said, players off their ACLs, only one person has improved, and that was Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, like back in 2014-15 for the Roosters on the wing. Couple of questions about Pangai. We're gonna go in circles with Pangai. He will find his way into my team at some stage this preseason. I'll see a photo of him with like raging biceps or training the house down or whatever, and he'll find his slot into my team. But right now, no. I just prefer Adam Elliott. I like having that one sort of half premium mid ranger. And then Luke Garner. I don't think Luke Garner's coming out of my side anytime soon. But, you got Corey Hadawira-Naera, you got Pangai, you got Raymond Faitala-Mariner, all these sort of mid-price guys I'm really looking at picking up in my, second slot of my 2RFs. So, not too bad. But, look, that's going to round out the piggies. Let me know what you think of them overall. I think I've got a good balance. And, we'll really touch on it. Had to sacrifice some money, and we had to sacrifice some money for this back line. Boom. Double gun, halfback. Cleary, Hines. Hines' numbers against top 8 sides, dropped off a cliff, 30 points last year, and he does play 3 top 8 sides in his first 5 games. But he still performed really well against those guys. I think it's the Raiders, Souths, and maybe Parramatta off the top of my head. I haven't, looked too hard. But, Nicho Hines, is he overpriced? Yes. Does he present value? No. Is he going to make you money? No. But he shits points for fun, The Sharks have just as much of a good draw as what they had last year. I don't really see his output dropping off huge to, not really warrant him being a trap or whatever. He was really impressive last year. Really, really impressive. His durability was fantastic. Played, every game that he could. Goal kicks on the side that can put up points. The focal part of the attack. It's hard to really pass up Hines, and Cleary's the same. I think I'm going to go down this route of just locking it down. Locking 2 halfbacks down. Not fucking around with trying to go a cheapie or, last year we did it with Brad Schneider, and I pulled the pin after 2 weeks and just said, I'm getting Hines in, and we're setting and forgetting. So Cleary and Hines, they're in. Now, 5/8 with an interesting one. As I said, it's just dead. It's just absolutely dead. I don't want to touch Cody Walker because South have a gross draw and Latrell's just taking all the points. Cameron Munster is looking enticing, but it's just a lot of money to have him and Grant. I feel like you can only have one. I don't really want to... I think the thing this year with the buys is I don't want to stack up too hard on like a heap of players. I don't want to have, 4 or 5 players from a club because I just don't want that. I want to have flexibility in my side every week with the buy. So yeah, let's just not warrant. It's Grant or Munster, and right now I'm thinking just going Grant. I could be swayed, but we'll touch on that. So that's led us to Adam Doueihi. I mean, you've got a couple of options. You've got, in my mind, for your premiums, you've got Matt Burton, Cam Munster, Adam Doueihi. I'm probably missing someone. Let me have a look at the 5/8 list. Dylan Brown, yeah. AJ Brimson's a good one. AJ Brimson could be a shout. I think if you're going to take a punt on a Titan, though, there might be a certain fullback that we'll talk about that could potentially be goal kicking. There is some reports he's goal kicking. But yeah, 5/8's dead. I mean, honestly, 5/8 does not excite me at all. So I'm just going to take Doueihi and just, Tigers got a pretty good draw to start with. They do have the Storm in round 3, which is like the only sort of slight against them. But Doueihi's like a good enough base player where I don't really think it's going to matter too much. And yeah, I mean, Dylan Brown, yeah, I mean, he was fantastic last year. How much higher can he go? That's the question. I mean, I've already got Hines, who I expect to lose money on, and probably Cleary, to be honest. We're probably going to lose money on both our halfbacks, and you can probably pick them up later. Do we think that Dylan Brown is going to go, is he going to exceed on last year? I was a huge Dylan Brown fan. I mean, I started with him round 1. It was probably one of my better calls. I just don't really know how much more value he's going to present, next year. Like, is he just... I think at his best, he just stays as to what he did last year. And I'd rather just take the upside pick in Doueihi. Goal kicking reports. Tigers fullback battle could be up for grabs, and we'll get on that in our centre wings. But there could be a route there where Doueihi just exceeds. And Josh Schuster, I don't really need to explain much more. Probably going to play 6, 210k. Awful season last year. Full preseason, drop a few kgs. Jill, I'm a huge Schuster fan this year. And I think all you guys should be. I think Schuster should be one of the most owned players this preseason. I generally think that. I honestly think Schuster should be the highest owned player. I'm talking like Suwali levels of last year. I think like 50% of the game owned Suwali last year. With how... Okay. 5/8 is dead. With how dead 5/8 is, Josh Schuster should be the most owned player in the game. That's my December hot take. I think he's there. David, is Doueihi on IPAP's side? Oof. So IPAP was playing a lot of right-hand side last year for Parramatta, and that's where Doueihi... Oh, sorry, IPAP was sort of floating in between. He was playing a little bit of left, a little bit of right, but Lane dominated that left-hand side. IPAP sat on the right. And yeah, so Doueihi and IPAP could be a very, very good combination to have. Now, 5/8. Centre is interesting. We have a premium. Last year, our sort of half premium was Daniel Tupu. And, he was really good for us for a lot of the year. Daniel Tupu I bought him at 500k round 1 and did bits. Brian To'o had a down year last year. I mean, let's no denying that. Try scoring was down. Tackle breaks was down. Looked like he was carrying a bit of an injury towards the back end of last year as well. But, 545k. I mean, I'm seeing a few sides with Greg Marzu. Just pay the extra money and get To'o. Yeah, I just think Brian To'o... We're not going to lose any money on him, and there's only upside there. He could definitely get to 700k in a matter of a month. So, keeper. Is it fair to say Brian To'o, wouldn't leave my side all year? quite possibly. Jerry, sorry, just joined late. Do you think some more premium players are overpriced? Is there a strategy to sit and hope their prices drop and focus more in mid-range? I definitely think that, mate. Feel free to go back in this stream. You'll see my front row. You'll see my front row and my 2RF. It's really good mid-range. I think there's some good value there. So I definitely like that. I am fully much aware of my halfbacks. They're going to lose cash. I know that. I understand that. But, you know, I'm going to keep it there. I mean, Jared wants to know about Remus Smith. Cheap, back in a very good side. Yeah, but what did he do last year? Like, he didn't... It's not like he's coming off an injury or anything like... He might be. I might be talking out of my ass. Hang on. Let me pull up the old SC stats thing again. I could be absolutely waffling a lot of crap. Remus... wrong slide. Alright, so what happened with Remus Smith last year? Have I forgotten him completely? I know he got injured. And what was he doing beforehand? So, I mean, even pre-injury, he was averaging 30 points a game. Take out the 7. So he scored... Pre-injury, Remus Smith scored 271. He got 7 in his injury game. Divide that by 8. All right, Remus Smith averaged 33 points last year without his injury. Not doing it for me. Not really tickling my fancy. 33 points without the injury. Could be proven wrong, but for me right now, I'm happy to miss that. You know, I'm happy to give it a skip. Why Lindsay Collins? Up. There's a shark, so up Cronulla. Touched on this before, my man, but Lindsay Collins, you know, second year off a major injury. Thiathua Takiaho has, you know, left the club. Maria Hargrave's not getting any younger. You know, Matt Lodge isn't even signed right now. Full preface, I expect Matt Lodge to get signed. He's on a training trial deal at the moment. I expect him to be signed to the Roosters. But yeah, he's probably going to be leading that, you know, middle. Victor Radley, you know, can't stay on the park for more than 4 games without being suspended. So, yeah, I mean, Lindsay Collins, you know, sub 400k. He's going to be a plotter, don't get me wrong. But he's going to be a plotter who has a little bit of, you know, money-making upside. So back on our centre wings, you know, we've discussed Brian To'o. Another guy who I think should be quite highly owned should be Hamisa Tabuai-Fidow. Fullback for the Dolphins. You know, the Dolphins look absolutely arse, but any starting fullback at 280k with as much, you know, electricity as he has, you know, no-brainer for me. I'm just going to pick him. Yeah. I don't know much more to say. I don't have stats on the top of my head, but, you know, fullback for any side at 300k is going to be handy. Isaac Thompson, go check out my social medias. We just dropped a really good post on Isaac Thompson, the SuperCoach Guns and I. Dropped a really, really nice, you know, article on Isaac Thompson. You know, Tane Milne's going to be out for a couple of weeks. You know, Jackson Paulo has left the club. There's going to be a spot open there. If he can get it, fantastic. I think he can hold down that slot. You know, really good base. Has about a base power of about 36 from his from memory last year. I think he averaged 65 points a game in reserve grades. So, you know, yeah, handy. And another guy I'm really frothing over is Charles Nickel Klukstar. All reports is he's moved back to the Warriors to play fullback. The coach has come out and said that Tomato Martin will be playing 6. So that's going to leave a battle with Nickel Klukstar and Lockie Miller. I just don't think Lockie Miller is probably... Metcalf, not Lockie Miller. Luke Metcalf. I just don't think he's, you know, up to it just yet. I think Klukstar will get first crack. And at 280k, you know, go back and look at his season. I think it was 2019. Started centre wing fullback for the Raiders. He was very cheap and made a lot of money for Supercoaches. So I'm hoping that we get the same thing. The bench is going to be made up of Paul Alamotti. I think this is finally his chance to break out. You know, had a couple of setbacks last year, didn't quite get in, but I think Paul Alamotti will definitely be getting a good crack. Aaron Shop's left, so there's going to be a spot open there, and hopefully Alamotti takes it up. Jack Howarth, you know, what's going to happen with him? 500k a year at the Storm. At the moment, just a placeholder. Hopefully we get some more cheapies moving in. And Belly Hodgson. Now, I know that he's very, very green, very, very raw, and I don't think he's going to start. I think it'll be Dane Gagai that does start at fullback and moving from there. But, yeah. Okay, a couple of questions. Paul Momorovsky, no. Why no Sloan? You know, Sloan is really coming down to Cody Ramsey's fitness. Now, Cody Ramsey's battling a lot of issues. I don't know exactly what it is, but he's got like an infection or something. It's not looking good for the poor blugger. So, yeah, just battling an uphill battle for him. Don't be surprised to see Moses and Bai play a bit of fullback as well. I mean, I know Hook Griffin really likes that defense. So, yeah, look, that tough. If Sloan gets the fullback jersey, I'll definitely be picking him. But, we'll just monitor that situation. Corey Allen, I just don't think he gets into the Roosters side, quite frankly. I just don't see a world where he gets the spot at the Roosters side, unfortunately. And moving into our fullbacks, we've got James Tedesco. Why no to the young kid from the Dolphins? If he plays, fantastic. If he doesn't, I'll put him in. I just don't know a whole lot about the Dolphins situation right now. The team that I've picked is based off the information that we have available, when more information presents itself, we'll put those guys into my team. This is just my very, very first team that I've sat down and really done. And when the first podcast of the year drops on January the 3rd, make sure you subscribe. We might have some more information available, and then we can go from there and potentially upgrade the team. This is, like I said, this is just my very, very first look. Without thinking too much into it. Reece Walsh. Yeah, Reece Walsh could be a huge shout. I mean, Broncos have an okay draw. It's not fantastic, but it's not awful. Does he present more value than Turbo? Turbo at his best, we know what he's going to do for SuperCoach, so it's hard. Turbo's going to be fit for round 1. He's carrying a hamstring injury, I understand. But there is a lot in that mid-price bracket if Turbo does break down. You've got Jaden Campbell, who I'm really, really liking the look of. Jaden Campbell, he's in a goal-kicking battle. Reports are Toby Sexton's not going to be... he's not the first team at the moment. So if Toby Sexton's not there and there's a goal-kicking shootout and Jaden Campbell gets it, could be fantastic. Another one is... obviously Reece Walsh, as we touched on. And Kalen Ponga. Look, if Kalen Ponga doesn't play 6... then, I'm all over him at fullback. But I just don't love him at 5'8". His stats, like I said, go back and look at 2019. I think he didn't start the year fantastically. But I just much rather take a gamble on Turbo or, downgrade to Charlie Staines. Now, before we click off this video, there is some reports getting around that the Tigers fullback battle is being edged by Charlie Staines. At 330k, you could definitely be doing worse than picking him up. We all bought Dane Laurie when he was a similar price, 2 years ago, and he killed it at centre wing. So Charlie Staines is one to definitely keep a lookout on because if he plays fullback, I think he's going to be a handful. I think he's going to definitely be doing a lot of, he looked really good when he played fullback for the Panthers as well. I mean, in an attacking sense. So he's definitely one to look out on as well. No love for Matty Burton or Ponga at 5'8" from Shandy. Look, Matty Burton's one of the few that I really like at 5'8". I mean, 5'8's dead. Matty Burton is in the category of guys I do like. It's a toss for coin between him and Dewey. Right now, I'm just going Dewey. But, that could be swayed to Burton. That could be swayed to Munster if we can find the cash and go elsewhere. So it's not, not like we're really locked into this. Is Xavier Coates a shout? Yeah, I mean, I haven't even looked at his price. I wouldn't imagine it's, overly cheap. Considering what he did last year. So he's 407k. He's a bit more expensive than what he was last year. He was 100k cheaper last year. 100k goes a long way in this game. Especially in the early stages. So 100k could be a lot. For you guys that are just tuning in, those are the piggies in the middle. We've already touched on our thoughts on them. We've already given a brief overview as to why we've picked a few of them there. But just remember, guys, this is my very first look. I haven't really delved into stats too much. Really, haven't looked at who's underpriced, who's overpriced. This is just a very, very generic look at my side. I'll sit on the screen for a little bit, and then we'll flick back to the main one, and we'll answer some questions. If you do have any questions about players, feel free to reach out and put them on. Yeah, I mean, first team of the year. I like it. I like it. I think I got a good balance, good mix. remember looping is going to be a lot easier this year because we're going to have those bye players sort of every week. But that's the piggies. Let us know how you're sort of going. Let us know how your SuperCoach planning is going. What are you thinking about? Who are the players that really take your interest? Because I do think there's a fair bit. Ryan, Eli Katoa could be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. There's 2 edge spots now vacant at the Melbourne Storm. One of them, it's hard. There's 3 players that could fit into 2 holes. You got Nelson, who played a bit on the edge, Tarek Sims, who's just got there, and Eli Katoa. If Eli Katoa can start, he'll be in my side. Probably over Adam Elliott, and it'll probably free up a fair bit of money for me. Oh, yeah, Space Cadet, or Space Acadiac. The Dolphins look grim. The Dolphins, there's no guns. I was looking at Milford in 5/8 maybe, but I really loved the prospect of Asako, but then Hammer signed and then just sort of killed it. But Ray Stone, if he plays 9, do they have a 9? I haven't looked too hard. But Ray Stone could be a guy that we look at potentially. I know he's hooker 2RF, but there's not a whole lot of the Dolphins. Unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot sort of really going for us. Okay, for front row 4, what about Stefano Utoikamanu? Absolutely. If he gets a start, absolutely. But I know Vanor Bolle, he really impressed last year. Does he take minutes away? So, yeah. Currently running Manu as my gun centre wing. Do you think he's overpriced to start with? I'm thinking because of the value at centre wing, it allows me to spend a little bit more extra on my gun centre wing. Oh, yeah, sorry. JMK is an eye for the Dolphins. I completely forgot about JMK. My apologies. For Manu, I do think he's in the same mould as Hines. He's not going to get any more expensive. He's only going to lose money, but the question is how much. Manu had a career last year, so yeah. Mitch Kenny at 260 is a bargain buy. Yeah, how many minutes is he going to play? That's the question. You got Sonny Luke, who's lurking about, and this is the thing. This is why back in my side, one of the questions I had here: do you go gun hooker or not? Because I think you've got to start with Brandon Smith. I don't see a world where you don't start without the cheese, and then you're going to roll the dice on Josh Hodgson, Mitch Kenny. That's kind of it, really. I haven't looked, but off the top of my head, those 2 guys are sort of what's sort of standing out to me. But I do like Mitch Kenny a lot. Yeah, Mitch Kenny could be definitely one, and he could if Ivan Cleary decides to do the same thing as what he did last year, start Mitch Kenny, have Sonny Luke on the bench, and then Mitch Kenny rotates through the middle. That could be also pretty interesting as well. I think he'll just be a bit of a base stat plotter, similar to someone like a Randall last year, but at 260k, we were frothing over Randall. We could be frothing over Mitch Kenny as well, so I do like that shout a lot. David wants to know, any good news for Schiller? What news is there? I didn't know the bloke was until round 1 last year, and I haven't heard a whole lot about the centre situation at the Raiders. I don't know if a whole lot's changed. Okay, I'm not getting political. That is being removed, my man. Thoughts on Tom Starling? I have a hard on for Tom Starling. I'm Tom Starling's biggest fan. Problem is Ricky fucking hates him. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's just he could average, he could be pushing Harry Grant probably not pushing Harry Grant, but he could be averaging high 60s if he just play 80 minutes. But Ricky just doesn't trust him, and yeah, I really hope he does, because he'll be straight in. He's a guy that I would abandon Harry Grant for. I wouldn't start with Harry Grant if I could start with Tom Starling, because if I know that he plays 65 minutes, he'll be, a weapon. The cheese is pretty shocking this year. He's pumped out 40s and 50s all year. Yeah. I get it, but he was checked out. He didn't want to be there. He played fuck all minutes. He played a lot through the middle. Just go look at what Brandon Smith did when Harry Grant was injured. You know, he was a 2021 stud when he played hooker. Absolute stud. I'm happy to write off last year. Congratulations, Bert. You have been banned forever. How do I report someone? Question. There we go. Oh, Bird Jedi, you've been done. Does Sean Russell come back? I mean, yeah, Sean Russell, and then you got Hayes Dunster as well. I think Alex made mention of this as well. Yeah. So, can you guys remind me the Parramatta winger situation last year? We had Sean Russell, Hayes Dunster. They both went down. Who ended up filling in? I mean, Tom Opachik played. Wanga Blake, was he on the wing from memory? Yeah, I think one of those guys. I think it'll definitely be. I think it'll definitely be Sean Russell or Hayes Dunster. It'll just be a question of who. Last year, Hayes Dunster was favoured. Oh no, Bailey Simonson. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Does Dunster overthrow Simonson? Because Seabo's not losing his position. We know that. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one to watch out for the preseason. Tarpany's a point machine last year. Yeah, Tarpany was fantastic. I just don't know if I want to pay top dollar for a front row forward. I think it's one of the ones that I'll move into. Is Ruben Garrick a solid option? With it starting to look like another year without Turbo? I mean, can we say that? You know, Turbo's hamstrings, they're not fantastic, but yeah, I don't know. What I want to see, like, I'm not wishing injury upon anyone, but if Turbo was to go down, you'd want it to be, after 6-7 weeks, let Garrick's price come down, then we can obviously just pick him back up because he was absolutely wonderful last year. Get some more questions in, guys. I know it's super early, but we were just sitting at home tonight and thought we'd chuck on, a stream, answer some questions, give you guys a place to come and, air your grievances. If you do have any questions when it comes to, SuperCoach, if you want full access to me, as you can see in the top corner, take your SuperCoach game to the next level. If you want to get custom advice, if you want that one-on-one feedback with me and a whole lot of beautiful minds in the SuperCoach world, $20 a year. Make sure you check the description, all the perks. Send me an email. I'd be happy to, talk you through it. But $20 a year to jump in a Discord with me, private access. If that's something you want to take up. If not, Pat Carrigan was a beast before his injury. What are your thoughts on him? From Corey. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up SC stats on my phone, so I'm not disrupting the sort of the stream layout. But yeah, he was looking really good. And what do you guys think? I want to know your thoughts while I'm looking at sort of Pat Carrigan. What do you guys think is going to happen with Payne Haas this year? Do you think that Kevy is just going to give him a bit of a rest? Like, do you think Payne Haas, his minutes drop a little bit? I'd love to get your thoughts. When it comes to Paddy Carrigan last year, what I found just from the eye test, he was a guy that just played 40 minutes straight and then just went missing in the second half. I feel like he was rested a lot in the second half. But like, he started the year 62, 49, 71, 38. Big layoff. 92, 53, 67, 68, 82. And then a 70 and a 75. So like, yeah, average last year was 62. I can turn the music down a little bit. Didn't know how loud it was. Apologies. Is that good? Yeah. Okay, so he's priced at an average of 62. Do we think Pat Carrigan... What do you think Pat Carrigan's ceiling is? 65? So what Joe Tarpany averaged last year, do we think he's better than Joe Tarpany for a SuperCoach sense? I just don't know what value it presents. That's what I'm sort of trying to look at. I'm just trying to... And that's the thing in these early stages, is just looking for what value presents itself. If you're not picking a set out and right gun, I'm just trying to think, what value am I getting? How much money-making potential are these guys going to bring me? That's what we did last year. It set us up really good. We had a super high squad value, and we managed to set our team up pretty early on. And so that's what I'm looking at. Like, how quickly can we get a premium, like upgrade to a premium? Payne Haas minutes definitely drop. I think Carrigan plays loads still. So do I. So do I. I just don't think... Is he underpriced at 62? Probably. Is he underpriced by like 7-8 points? Probably not. I think you may be getting 3 points of value. And look, he could turn into, you know, a keeper. Like 65 is great for like a third front row forward slot. So he could be that. Keep an eye on Tino's younger brother. He's a cheapie that will most likely get some game time. Yeah. He's looking good. I watched a little bit of him, last year. Is David Fifita a must-have after a season low last year? For a season low, I still think he averaged like 60-something. I think he was still fucking unbelievable. Hey, I want to see more of Maverick Geyer. Maverick Geyer is a guy I want to see more of. Hey, Fifita still averaged 66 points last year. Fuck me. For how shit he was, he still averaged 66 points. Like, he was awful, and he averaged 66 points. Like, let's just remember that. He was shocking and still averaged 66. Bloke just shits out points. Would rather go up 20k compared to Carrigan. Yeah, I get that. I think Carrigan's available at front row forward. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's have a look. Paddy Carrigan. Okay. Paddy Carrigan is not available at front row forward. Yeah, no, I'm not keen on Pat Carrigan at all. Not at all. Sorry, I thought he was available at front row. I thought he had his dual still. You know, Pat Carrigan, no. Yeah, I'd rather Adam Elliott over Pat Carrigan, to be honest. I just think there's more value that presents itself there. So, yeah, sorry guys, I didn't realise that. As you can tell, it's still very, very early in the preseason. I'm still rusty. Positions only released a couple of days ago, so we're still getting back to it. But yeah, I think Moz makes a good point. I'd rather just pay a little bit more and go for a guy that could, Fifita, Crichton, Madison, all these guys can go off for, 110, 120 points on a good week, and I just don't think Pat Carrigan has that ceiling. We'll probably go for another 10 minutes or so, guys, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. Like I said, first podcast will be back on the 3rd of January. I will announce who the official co-host is moving forward. I think you guys will really love who I've chosen. Matty Tomoko. Really, really good talent. I just don't think he's got that SuperCoach game that's going to, take it to that next level. I just don't see him. Maybe this year could be a breakout, but for me, I'm going to give it a miss. Is it crazy to start with 4 gun center wings and 3 mid cheapies starting? Hey, I've got a really good post in the works. I've got a really, really good post, on gun center wings and why people are looking at them. It's a long read. It's one of my longest write-ups I've ever done. It's taken me probably 4 or 5 days to get all the stats together and write it up. I'll probably drop that this week. Keep an eye out, Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll drop that post on my socials. But, it's a really good read on center wings and why people, really flock to them and why they, potentially have value. Clone Commander, I don't... It depends on how you play. On this center wing debate, it really depends on what kind of coach you are. It depends on, if you like chasing those ceilings. Because, someone like myself, I will never ever win the weekly top score. I will always, have a crack, as you can see by my rankings here. I'll always have a crack for the 50k overall prize, but I will never ever win the top score of the week because I'm a very safe coach. I'm a very consistent, I like to plod along. If you go hard on center wings, that could shoot you one of those massive, massive scores during the week. So I think it just depends on what coach you are. Clamps, thoughts on Chance Klukstar? We've already mentioned Chance. We love Chance. I love Chance. I think he needs to be must-have by everyone. He's in my side. Burbo, yeah, nah. If he gets a start, yeah, but... Hey, what do we think's going to happen? Do we think Kelma Tuilagi takes over Schuster's edge? Any love for Kelma Tuilagi? He didn't really prove a whole lot of the Tigers, but, he had signed with Manly pretty early. Maybe he'd mentally checked out. Let me know what you think on Kelma Tuilagi and if he's going to be, the guy that we should deviate to. Thoughts on Aaron Clark? Big fan. Huge fan. If he's playing 13 consistently, huge fan. Huge fan. MC wants to know about Marzu with a big flex. Not for me. Pay 10k more and get Brian Toto. Oh, Burton. Sorry. The old specs. Yeah, fan of Burton. Fan of Burton. Yeah, as I've said a couple of times, there's only like 5 2RFs. There's only like 5'8" I'm really keen on, and Burton is one of them. Yeah, they've lost Davey. Kelmer probably plays 2RF. And he is coming in. He is priced at 372k. Bit of an awkward price. Averaged 40 last year, but as I said, he could have potentially just checked out. He could have just been like, nah, we're done. 370k. So that's a similar price point as someone like an Eli Katoa. Oscar wants to know my top 3 halfbacks. Cleary 1, Hines 2, and let's have a look. Let's have a look at the halfback class. I mean, if, and it's a big if, Turbo is fit, Cherry Evans. If not, could be Jerome Hughes. Could overtake Mitch Moses for that 3rd spot, to be honest. Could definitely do it. Is Nasser right at front row forward if he jags the edge? Yeah, if he jags the edge, yeah, definitely. But the question is if. It's a big if. You got Tariq Sims to compete with, who, just want to let you all know now, Tariq Sims is not a buy at all. I made a post on him. Go check out my socials. Definitely not a buy. Luke Garner has to be a pickup with the Rift now. Yeah, Luke Garner's in my side. Definitely in my side. Before we wrap up for tonight, we've got 7 minutes left. I will go back to my side. Is there a world where we don't start with Cleary Hines combo at halfback? Okay, Braden, what other alternatives are there? I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm asking because I'm someone that is starting with Cleary and Hines at the moment. What other alternatives are there? Do you downgrade to like a mid-ranger, or do you just go try and find a cheapie in the rough? Like, what is the alternative to not going with it? Because I haven't found one yet. Maybe I'm just being sort of too narrow-minded. But basically, since the season ended last year, I think I was always set into the idea of just Hines and Cleary. Has anyone other received an injury to Ryan Pappenhausen? How long do you think it'll take him to get his confidence back? Mate, I will have to reach out to Fizz. I'll reach out to a physio. Not too sure if anyone has had that kind of injury. Not off the top of my head. If you have Fafita and want one more gun to RF, Murray or Crichton? Only because of the World Cup, I would say Crichton. Just because Murray might have a hangover from the World Cup with minutes and stuff in his legs. That's probably the only thing splitting it. There are my times, but yeah, that's the thing, Braden. And I wasn't trying to talk down. It might have come across that way, but I just can't see any other alternative. I just can't see any other alternative that's getting it. Isaiah Katoa is obviously yeah, but they've got Milford and they've got Sean O'Sullivan. I just don't see him getting in, unfortunately. Will Tamari Martin play fullback? I think Tamari Martin is going to be playing with at 6. I think the coach said he's going to be playing 6. I'm starting with Pap. I don't give a... Fingers crossed. I get a head start when he gets back-to-back hundreds to start the year. Mate, that's the thing. I think Pap's going to be a big pod. I think Pap's will be a huge pod. And it could pay off. It could pay off drastically for you. And I really hope it does. I just don't know. I just don't have that confidence myself. But, yeah. Martin is solid for 200k. He could be a quick cash cow. Tamari Martin? Is that who we're talking about? Because I thought Tamari Martin was... Tamari Martin's 350k. And he's only available at fullback, which is, really, really dampers things, unfortunately. And Nick Raymond at 14. Yeah. So, there's just a lot of avenues where I don't think Katoa plays, unfortunately. Franklin Pele. Shout out to Franklin Pele. Follows me on Instagram. I always hold that near and dear to my heart. Yeah, could be a shout. Tolman retired. Fafita retired. So there's gonna be room there. There's gonna be room. Franklin Pele could jag a bench spot. Love it. Could be, hey, he could be similar to Max King last year. Max King started on the bench, worked his way into the starting team, and just became an absolute weapon. So Franklin Pele could be that. Nano with an easy draw. Yeah, Nano could be a short-term player. I don't think he's going to be a keeper. I think he was very reliant on attack last year, and unless you're Steve Menzies, that attack does dry up. But yeah, it could be a great short-term play. Is there a world where we don't start Teddy? My number one thought. Oh, Pele's at the Dogs now. Okay. Nah. Hey, just goes to show you how little research I've done into the season. Because, yeah, I didn't even know that. My apology. I wish he was at the Sharks, because there's going to be some middle minutes opening up at the Sharks, which is kind of shit. Who do I think wins the premiership? Chooks? If they stay fully fit, Chooks could do it. They just got to stay fully fit. They've just had injury issues the last 3 years, so... Chooky's definitely up there. Obviously, Penrith, looking unstoppable as always. They're probably my only two right now. Manly, if Turbo stays fit all year, obviously, he could carry the team. South, it depends on how Souths go as well. I know I'm giving him a bunch of answers now, but my pick are Penrith to go 3-peat or the Roosters. But yeah, as you can see, Teddy. Who asked the question? Troy, you asked, is there a world where we don't start Teddy? I just think Teddy's locked in for me. I don't see a world where we don't have him. How high am I on Christian Tuipulotu after last year? Not really. I haven't looked at him at all. Have not looked at him one bit. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm probably not going to change my team until January 3rd. So the first podcast me and mystery co-host will be doing is our team reveals and giving our sort of overall thoughts. So it'll just be similar to this podcast, but it'll be more structured, less rambling, and I'll have someone to bounce off of. Thoughts on Valentine Holmes with the goal kicking and the draw? Paul said this before. Someone asked about Joe Manu. I think there's really good value in starting with a premium centre wing this year, just because of the upside that they possess. The Shockmasters, good to have you back. Can't wait for footy. Thoughts on backup fullback behind Teddy this year? It's tough. It's tough. I'm not confident on Pap. I've said this. Ponga at 6 doesn't entice me. Turbo's going to have, fucking hammy issues. Reece Walsh isn't goal kicking. Jaden Campbell's inconsistent. There's just so much uncertainty, isn't there? It's just tough. It's really, really tough. I want to know your guys' thoughts before we finish up for tonight. Is there a world where we don't go 2 playable fullbacks this year? Every year you lock and load 2 fullbacks, set and forget. What do you think? What are my thoughts on the lack of duels? Personally, I love it. Me too, man. Me too. I love the duels. I love not having them. When, the big list of people that lost their duels came out, everyone was up in arms. I love it. I'd rather no one have duels, and then we slowly add to it as the season goes on, because duels become overpowered. 2 years ago when Dane Laurie had fullback centre wing, everyone started with him. But if you just had fullback, it's a real conundrum. Do you go cheap and make the money, or just play two gun? I wish we didn't have duels, because it makes it so easy. If we quickly look at my team, and I show you my centre wings, Brian Toto premium, Thompson, yeah. But fullback, potential fullback here. You got Tyrell Sloan, you got Charlie Staines, all these guys that could be playing fullback that you put in. I feel it just makes it a little bit too overpowered for what it's worth. But that's just me. I understand why some people love it, because it makes it easy. But the heart of this game is I feel the heart of the game is the better the coaches they are separate themselves. And that may be a little bit egotistical from me. But I do feel, I think this year's going to be really, really interesting as to how the sort of elite coaches are going to manage, this bye period moving forward. Does Edwards from the Panthers score well? He scores okay. I wouldn't say he's elite, but he's consistent. I just don't think he presents a lot of value. I think he just is, slightly above average in Supercoach. Averillo backup fullback to Teddy, and my 2 bias being a Dogs fan. Oh, I think you're being too biased, my man. But I respect that you can understand that. BBL Supercoach is all rounders and bowlers dominant and duels everywhere. Yeah, man. My BBL side is just a fucking train wreck. It's just all rounders everywhere, and it's just not fun. It's just anyway. Stafford Toa worth a look. I haven't looked at him myself, Marianne. Personally, I haven't looked at him myself, but could definitely present. And this is why it's so hard. What are we? December the 19th, 18th. People are just coming back into preseason, and stories are coming out, slowly and surely. And the more we get more information, the better it's going to be. But yeah, it'll open our eyes up more, and I might do these Q&A check-ins, once every fortnight. When we have more information to play with, rather than doing them every week, like maybe once a fortnight. As more information seeps in, just in between the podcasts and whatnot. But just before we finish up for tonight, we'll plug it one more time. If you guys want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level, make sure you check the description. A lot of information in there as to how I'm planning on helping you this year win your SuperCoach leagues for custom one-on-one access to myself and some other brilliant minds. Some fantastic resources. Check the description. A couple other things. Podcast first episode will be on January the 3rd, which I'm pretty sure is a Tuesday. I plan on dropping podcasts twice a week in the preseason, Monday and Friday, with my co-host, who I will announce in due course. 2 episodes a week up until the season starts, which will be the 28th of February. Teamless Tuesday, and then we do it once a week every Tuesday night, 7:30. Same thing we did last year. Will be fantastic. A couple more questions before we finish up. Who out of the bottom 4 teams do you think is on the up? Tigers. I definitely do. And I don't want to sound biased. Let's have a look at the NRL ladder last year so I do understand who finished in the bottom 4. Yeah, okay. So bottom, you guys can't see it. I apologize. But the bottom 4 was the Tigers, the Warriors, the Knights, and the Titans. Out of those 4 sides, who I think has improved the most, I think the Tigers have. And that's just down to their forward pack. Api Coruscant, David Clemmer, Isaiah Papali'i, Franklin Bolo gotten better. Stefano, had injuries last year. Hopefully he bounces back. Justin Matamura, is going to be developing. We lost Hastings, which is a huge, huge loss, I feel. We do get Charlie Staines. I really like Staines if he plays fullback. Chuck Dane Laurie in the centres. I don't hate that at all. Have Mamalo and Norfoluma on the wings. Dane Laurie in the centres. Staines at fullback. Really, really don't hate that at all. If we get Bateman, huge. If we sign John Bateman, it will be absolutely massive. I think I accidentally announced my co-host earlier. Definitely didn't. Definitely didn't. What about Val Holmes? Answered this before. Check out the socials. I'm going to be dropping a big post on Centre Wings and just them overall. But, we're getting to that stage of the night now where a couple of questions that repeat themselves. And, we've gone for a solid hour. It's so early in the season. I think we had, a max of, 90 people watching, which is huge for content this early. I'm sitting at home doing nothing, so I just thought I'd jump on here and yeah. Really, really appreciate you guys being here. I'm so glad to be back. Dusting off the dirt from the microphone, breaking it out. We're back, baby. SuperCoach is back. I can only thank you guys so much for tuning in. And thanks to as the co-host. Oh, I wish I was on that sweet Daily Telegraph payroll. Up, Cronulla. You just wait. I'm pretty sure I got a graphic designer making up the podcast art. So when that's done, I'll drop it. But for now, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the first, off random preseason podcast. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to be hanging around in the comments for another 2 or 3 minutes as the stream sort of shuts down. Any questions I didn't answer, feel free to chuck them in the live chat. And I'll answer them. But apart from that, stay safe and love you guys and goodbye.